Hello, microcosm. Welcome to Micro-Odysseys. Today, we are going to be going over some stuff. As you guys know, we are in the preliminary phase, but hopefully that's going to come to an end this week. It's the last week, episode 3. Luckily, we didn't spend too much time thinking about it. But that being said, let me ask you, how are you guys? Welcome to the microcosm. Since we had nobody write in this week, I don't think I only have 3 listeners so far, which is 3 more than I thought I'd get. A couple in France, one in Yuma, Arizona. Shout out Yuma, Arizona. Bought a Arcade Fire record there in 2010, I believe. Anyway, no one wrote in, so now we are on a 1 week streak of 0 write-ins for the "How are you" segment, which is fine. You don't have to write in. I'd like it if you did at microodysseys@gmail.com. Please go ahead and write that in. Whoever ends the streak, maybe we'll get a special prize. We'll see. Anyway, that leads me to how I'm doing. I'm doing okay. I just had my bachelor party this weekend, which so still kind of hazy from all that, but it was a lot of fun. It was fun getting everyone together, getting married in a month and a half. So um, yeah, that that happened. So I'm okay. That's also a good reason why this episode will come out on Tuesday instead of Monday. but maybe Tuesday's a better day. Why don't you write in and let me know? Monday or Tuesday? What do you prefer? But anyway, that leads me into my next segment. We're going to take a 30,000-foot view level of how we're doing in our view from the crow's nest. Welcome to View from the Crow's Nest, where we're going to talk about how our project is going. Now, right now, we are in the preliminary phase. We haven't done any actual work yet. It likely will be a while before we do some actual work, but we have our concept, we have our deliverable list, we have our artifact registry I showed you last week. This week, we're going to focus on the timeline. How are we going to lay all this out? What's it going to take to get everything done? And yeah, those are the 3 deliverables we decided on week 1 that were necessary to finish the preliminary phase and actually get started and kind of define what we're going to do. And then also from the podcast perspective, you'll notice, hopefully, you'll notice the improvements that have been made with the sound effects, which have been pretty fun to find online. But yeah, the podcast, I've made up a little roadmap of, every week, every couple weeks, I would like to make like an improvement, which hopefully we can do. And that's one of them. Maybe get an intro reel going. Big improvement I like to make is I like to have a co-host, because I realize shows like this are way more fun with 2 people. But if I get a co-host, I think I also need to start thinking about, maybe changing the show up a little bit. Right now it feels like I'm still kind of getting the groove of like what this is even about. So it's going to get more fun. That's the goal. Actually, it's the number 1 goal: make this podcast as fun as I possibly can. Anyway, that is the high level view of the project. Actually, pretty big news. Preliminary phase. Next week we're going to be on phase 1. We're going to finally be getting into the meat of it. We're going to be doing some work, so to speak. And I think the segments are going to be a lot more fun as a result anyway. But now that we've seen the high-level view of the project, it is time to tear a page out of the Secret Explorer log. Welcome to the Secret Explorer log, where I write down my thoughts in my super secret diary journal and read them to you on air. These ones are pretty important. This one philosophically reaches to my heart. It is a reflection on the end result. What are we doing and why are we doing it? Well, we're doing it for no reason, and that's beautiful to me. I actually have been thinking about like when I'm done working on some of this stuff, what can I do? And I've been thinking actually like it could be cool to show up to like a community art show just in some, I don't know, wherever we live. And just kind of set up a little vibe with like a nice like a tent or something at like a community show. Just let people hang out in there. That's probably a good way to get the word out. Um, I think people would appreciate that. But like I said, I also just want to set up my closet and I want it to look cool. I'll be cleaning that out soon, getting ready. I think I might have a couple of years, but that's okay. But anyway, the beauty of it is, and this is my philosophy, is do useless things. It doesn't matter if they're useless. And it's something, it's scary to start something in a way that you don't, it's like easy to doubt yourself. It's easy to get nervous and scared about, am I wasting my time? And most of the time you're not wasting your time. You're only wasting your time when you let that fear and doubt paralyze you. I mean, for me, for instance, like I spent years wanting to become a software engineer, right? And honestly, I kind of never thought I'd do it because I was so paralyzed. I don't know what I don't know. I don't know how to get started. What can I even? I can't make anything that important, you know. And then I realized I just have to make useless, unimportant things, and that's the only way you're going to learn. We don't have the knowledge yet to make important things, you know. But that doesn't mean that's fine because that's how you learn. It's the only way to learn. So I made an app that counted how many Budweisers me and my roommate were drinking, and every time we had one, we pushed a little iOS shortcut, and it sent it off to a little API I made, and I just had a very simple JavaScript website that just pulled that info and just displayed how many. I made one app that took every single episode of Huelhauser's California's Gold and displayed it. Actually, that is useful. We'll probably be reviewing some of those episodes on this show. What else did I make? I made an app that can split up your bill that you have at a restaurant with friends, percentage wise, with tip and tax included, as the percentage of the overall bill. Stuff like that, you know. Which I don't know why they don't make that. We should have that. But anyway, it was really hard to use. None of it was useful. It was very difficult to use. So it all ended up kind of getting retired, which that's fine because you know what? Because I made those, I spent countless hours making those things. When I finally did decide to become a software engineer, I had so much experience under my belt with the fundamentals that it made it so much easier for me. And finally, at the end of the day, like it resulted in my career that I have now that I love doing. So, yeah, don't be afraid of useless things. That's the whole point of this that we're doing. I mean, I'm a little afraid to like try and write a book. I don't know if I can, but you know, if I fail a couple times, the next time I try it, you know, I've always wanted to write a book, so this is perfect, you know. But yeah, so that's that. Um, let's get lost a little bit here. I got lost a little bit tangenting about that, but that's just, you know, kind of stuff I write in my journal, you know, just reflecting on why I would be doing something. And look, even I had a doubt where I was trying to list what it is, but that's fine, right? Anyway, that's it. I'm going to close the book on the Secret Explorer log so we can move on to our next segment, the weekly voyage. Welcome to the weekly voyage, where I'm going to go over somewhere I went this week. Hopefully, you know, these pertain to the project. They won't always, you know. And this week definitely does not, because I had plans to go to a tiki bar on Friday night. And I think I'm going to start doing the kind of thing where I'm going to go to a tiki bar or something that is not necessarily exotic or pertaining to this project, but somewhere where you, like the name my project evokes, microodysseys, somewhere that evokes feeling insulated, feeling like this an escapism, something that surrenders itself so much to a certain theme that it's a little absurd, you know. And tiki bars, almost all of them are like that, you know. And I was going to go to one with my bachelor party on Friday night, but things got a little sidetracked on that one, and we ended up spending way too much time at the Dave and Buster's in Torrance, California, which shockingly ratchet. But therefore, I don't really have a weekly voyage for this week. I did go to Top Golf too on Saturday, um, which was pretty cool, and I'm pretty sore from that actually. But nothing that pertains to the project. I just had a great weekend, hanging out with friends and doing stuff. So if anybody wants to share their weekly voyage, feel free to do it. Email me microodysseys@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to read your write-ins. Cool. So that brings us now to the artifact of the week. Okay, so artifact of the week. I already told you what it was going to be. It was going to be the project phase timeline. So here we have the artifact registry, and we'll be kind of going over that every week. The first thing I showed you guys was, in fact, the artifact registry itself. Now, the next thing is the phased timeline. This is actually probably the most important thing to come up with in the preliminary phase because it defines how we're going to be doing everything. But I have it just kind of in the same Excel tab. And it looks kind of confusing and really boring to go over at first. And I'm sorry to my audio listeners, I'm sharing my screen. But what's cool about it is we kind of just need to define, like how are each of these projects going to work? Because you don't just start writing a book. You know what I mean? So let's see. Select all clear. Okay, well, that didn't work. So we'll just start with the book. How about that? Clear, go to the book. So check it out. The book, depends on the 3-act story, but I'm going to be developing a theme chart as part of phase 2, a settings chart as part of phase 2, character chart as part of phase 2. And then the end of phase, I should probably break it out into another phase, but by the end of phase 2, I'm going to write like a complete story chart, like a chapter list, and that'll all be fed in by all these like story themes, settings, and character, charts that I'm going to make. And then phase 3, I'm going to actually it'll be the first draft, and that's going to take months, but that's fine. And then phase 4 is kind of edit and publish that first edition. So that's just kind of an example of the book. And so you kind of want to break it out. What I realized is that you can only really work on 2 things at a time. And I guess I'm going to do that and a podcast. So for me, I'm going to start out with the book and some of the art, the like physical media, because I figure once you have the 3-act structure, which is really our phase 1, then everything kind of goes from that. But you want to sort of start writing the book at that point, But so yeah, I'm going to focus on the book first. But you'll see here, if you look at all of these different things, I just have 2 categories at a time that I'm working on: book and physical media. Book, physical media. I mean, that's going to be it for a while. Once I finish that, and that'll probably take a year to do both of those, if not more. Then working on the soundtrack, that's actually the one I'm dreading the most because I feel like it takes a certain level of vulnerability to just start learning music and then even just record it. Like that sounds wild. But we'll be working on physical media and soundtrack for a while. The physical media is going to take a long time because I have to learn how to do artwork. Then we can move on to the light show. And then finally, we can work on the cocktail list, and then by then, hopefully my closet will be looking awesome. So yeah, the other thing that I kind of wanted to talk to you guys is like, when do we consider us like moving on from a phase, Like I have learning to draw as a part of whole phases. It's like 2 or 3 whole phases where I'm just learning how to draw. And that's going to take a while. But, like I said before, we don't need to be perfect to move on. We don't need to be perfect to create something, especially to create something useless, which is the beauty of it. But so that's not really like a tangible item I can measure, So you know what? I'm just going to say we can move on whenever we're done with the other thing in the phase. Whenever I'm done with a 3-act story structure, I'll be able to move on. But then I have learning to draw in the next phase too. So I'm going to be learning that as part of all of these kind of pre-book writing things, Um, and so I really recommend to you guys that if you're coming up with like a concept like I am, and you want to be making really anything, just be sure to break your stuff down into phases, and don't be too afraid. Don't think you need to master it all in order to keep moving. Trust me, I'm a professional master jack of all trades, and we this is how it's done. This is how you get kind of okay at everything, like I'm trying to do here. And please don't try to do too much. I already feel like I'm doing too much because I'm planning a wedding, trying to get this podcast off the ground, which is crazy, but I'm having fun with it. And trying to do two different things at the same time. I might actually even break it down to one, but then I feel like I'll never finish. But I say, honestly, in your life, if you're trying to have a sane, good life, you can only do two things at a time. So keep that in mind, because you have other stuff in your life too. We have to exercise periodically. We have to hang out with friends periodically. You have to deal with crazy shit periodically, but so be it. We can make it work, right, guys? So that is my artifact of the week. And my artifact is just this phase timeline, which one of the more important parts of it, we've mapped out our entire journey, and we can just start knocking stuff out. Cool. So, guys, that leads me to my next segment. And I believe you all know what it is. It is the Oracle. Let's see here. I added this really cool, creepy ambient. It kind of feels like we are in some weird temple. But we need to consult the Oracle. There's something imperative we need to know that it just can't be decided on our own, and nobody's writing in. And last time we consulted the Oracle, we determined the name of you guys, the microcosm. And we're now in the microcosm. We are the microcosm. It is in with us. We are in it. We have created a pocket, a space in the space-time continuum for these past 25 minutes that we are inhabiting, the microcosm. But now it's time to know, how are we going to name our segment, Welcome to the Microcosm? Every week I ask you guys, how are you doing? Nobody writes in, which is fine. But how are you does not sound cool. Do you know what I'm saying? We need a better name. And we're going to see what the Oracle can show us. And unfortunately, I now have to pause this awesome ambient music because I've learned we cannot play it and share my screen at the same time. Which is okay. Okay, let's see. Oh, it says someone else is currently sharing. Wonderful. Well, I guess that is a technical limitation of this app that I'm using. Is that I seems to have some kind of bug where I can't share my screen. I have to stop the recording to share it, but that's okay because soon we'll be improving. We'll probably away from this, but you can see I've pulled up the visage of the Oracle that I created using the Oracle herself. So she's actually a little bit self-realizing. So it is her own thought that created this, which is cool. But now I need to know. Enter a prompt. Dear Oracle, please let us know what is a good name for my podcast segment in which my listeners write in to tell me how they're doing. I can't predict the future, but I can definitely help brainstorm some names for your listener call-in segment. I don't think predicting the future is necessary on that one. The listener check-in. That's pretty lame. Life updates. Also, not really what I'm looking for. From the inbox. Spill the tea. How's it hanging? Victories and these are too generic. We can already tell. So now we need to know. We need to let it know. My podcast audience is called the microcosm. That's a fantastic name for your audience. The microcosm. I know, you came up with it, remember? It suggests a dedicated and insightful group. Okay, Microcosm Chronicles. No, that's Voices of the Microcosm. That is cool because it feels like it's from behind the veil. The Microcosm Pulse. No, that feels like we combined our podcast audience with like the name of like a 90s newsletter. Microdosing. Okay, if we want to get a little saucy, I don't know how you guys feel about microdosing. I enjoyed it a couple times, not too bad. The microscope. I actually think that's pretty creative. Ooh, what if that's the name of the view from the crow's nest? I don't know, man. The high level, actually, yeah, I kind of like that. I might change the name of that segment to the microscope, but not the first segment. The petri dish. No. The microcosm check-in. The microcosm connect. The microcosm huddle. How about we need to like whittle this down into? Can you whittle it down into something more? What's the word I'm looking for? Mysterious. That's a. The word mysterious is a little. I don't know. It's a little broad. Whispers from the microcosm. That is really good. The unseen threads. No. The codex. No. Fractals of the whole. That does kind of tap in a little bit into what I'm trying to do. Echoes in the well. Deciphering the microcosm. The blind spot. Beyond the visible. The unspoken. Dude, whispers from the microcosm. I like that one. I think I might keep that one. What are we at? We're at whispers of the microcosm, voices of the mic. It's better than voices of the microcosm for sure. I'm gonna go with whispers of the microcosm. Do we name our second segment the microscope? The view from the microscope. Yes, and I'll need to discover like a soundbite for that. Maybe it could be like some gears turning. Microscopes are relatively quiet. They don't create a ton of noise, but anyway, I think we figured it out. Whispers from the microcosm, because that really invokes the idea that we're hearing something from the other side. Something is coming from beyond the void, and hopefully that something is coming from France or Yuma, Arizona, where I've seen perhaps you guys are from. So feel free to write in microodysseys@gmail.com. Don't forget that. And just if you have any thoughts on the episode, let me know. Yeah, thank you to the Oracle. People are so afraid of generative AI. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but it doesn't seem that scary to me because it needs a lot of editing most of the time, but that's okay. It's such a good way to generate thoughts and ideas of what you might want to do. It's also like only very partially useful. Like very minimal parts of my life am I trying to generate words, copy, or images, until I guess I did this podcast. But anyway, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I think that's it for us today. Hey, big news. This is big week. Preliminary phase is over. The boring stuff is out of the way. So next week, get ready. We're going to start preparing to write a book, and we're going to start learning how to draw. And so I'm thinking I'm going to have some segments of surrounding kind of drawings that I've been doing. You guys are going to see some really bad drawings before this podcast is complete. And you're probably going to be seeing some subpar storytelling, but that's totally fine. Like I said, that's how you get good. And yeah, but we'll go over some of that stuff. The artifact of the week from here on out is going to be completely dedicated to one of the things we're working on. It's so the artifacts of the week are going to hopefully contribute directly. The weekly voyage, hopefully it can be somewhere where I can bring my sketchbook and draw something, which I think would be awesome. And that means we can make cool YouTube videos too. So anyway, get ready for that, guys. Phase 1 coming up. I couldn't be more excited to get started, and hopefully you are too. So thank you for logging in, and thank you for joining the microcosm today. We will talk to you later. Bye.